Welcome to the Just Jim Radio Show. We're grateful to be here today once again to be able to offer to you openings and opportunities to discover a deeper sense of self and truth within yourself and create a pathway in your life that makes a difference for you and for those who are in your life. We do that through offering interviews and dialogues and conversations that will awaken and stimulate the awareness and consciousness that you have of who you are, how you are, what's going on in your life, and new pathways to be able to live a more full life and feel the fulfillment that life really is meant to have as you bring it to it. We do that by having interviews, and today we're going to be speaking with Bill COLLER. He has worked mediumistically for over 40 years, a very powerful international medium. Gets around, and when I say international, he was in Scotland yesterday. He's in Zurich today. He'll be in Germany tomorrow. We're interviewing him today in Zurich. And he's worked in his past as a mechanical engineer and a management consultant. And he served spiritual churches throughout the UK and Europe. As a speaker, as a medium, as I said, and as a healer, he has such a versatile and wide spectrum of spiritual knowledge and experience that he shares in such a unique way that you'll get to know a little bit better as we're speaking with him. He travels the world to teach in the centers that he has and to touch and affect the lives of so many others that are trying to find their own connection to spirit as he's been able to share for so long. I enjoy Bill as a medium, certainly as a teacher. I've enjoyed all that he's ever taught that I've been able to participate in, and even more as a person, very genuine, very real, straight to the point, and enjoyable to be around. Well, for most of us at least. How you doing today, Bill?
Jim, I'm just tickety-boo. I'm just fine.
Good to hear it. It's amazing to watch you do what you do, being able to see the connection that you carry with spirit and the way that you offer your mediumship to people in a very direct and clear and open way. Why do you think mediumship is really done in the world? What is it that inspires you to continue to share spirit like you do and to offer your mediumship to others?
For me, it's pretty clear that you try to make a difference in the lives of people who are hurting because of bereavement. And it's very difficult to explain what that pain is like when you have a significant loss. But if you can build a bridge to help people to better understand the situation, then it helps them to better understand life. And that's my job. So I'm a bridge builder.
Bridge builder. And so you're bridging between the worlds, as it might be seen, those who are in another realm of spirit, wanting to connect and communicate with those who are still here, and offering what they do as a message or an energy that you're able to convey to those who you offer those readings and messages to.
Absolutely. Also, there are many, many people in this world who are very curious about who they are and what's beyond life after they leave it. So again, the medium provides an opportunity to answer some of those questions that people have. And it's not just a case of saying you survive death, because that becomes a belief system. But if you can give evidence to support that reality, then it becomes a knowledge-based system, not a belief system.
And so the experience, the direct experience of hearing something being shared that is coming from spirit and the only place it could come from, and that spark or that connection when that individual realizes that they're hearing from someone they want to so much that they love them and want to be able to experience them, or they may have had difficulties they want to resolve, it brings a connection and an opening that allows for that to happen. And you are that bridge between, that point of reflection that spirit's able to bring that kind of inspiration or that kind of information into this world for the people that are receiving it, to have it shift and change who they are within themselves. Healing, yes, in bereavement, and definitely the evidence of life continuing after death, but also the inspiration or the awakening that can occur when you suddenly realize there's so much more to who we are and how we live, it can change the way we walk in our lives every day.
Oh, absolutely. And when you look at it, it's a form of intimacy. You're touching areas in people's lives that are very personal to them, are very unique to their experiences. And it's also good for them to have a sense that wherever they are, they're not walking this life alone, that there's always somebody somewhere in the background supporting, loving, caring. And my job is to help people who are open to it to understand it.
And you've been doing this for a really, really long time, and so it's a part of who you are. And sometimes as we continue on doing something on a regular basis over a long period of time, there's this place where we're looking for the inspiration to continue. Why do you continue to do this? Why do you continue to make this a part of your life? How has it touched you personally in your own life? Not just being a bridge, but how has it made a difference for who you are and how you are in your life?
Well, one of the things that's very clear to me is after all those years, and it doesn't seem like all those years, it just seems like yesterday, I've never lost the enthusiasm for what I do. I still have that enthusiasm. I still have that caring for what I do. And when I see people having an experience of what you provide and it changing them in a positive way, then you look at that and you think how lucky share that experience with someone. So for me, the enthusiasm's still there. I think if there ever came a point in time where the enthusiasm wasn't there, I would go play golf.
Golf seems like an alternative that would be give you some freedom and some enjoyment out there on the links. I have to say, I understand exactly. Morning and last night I was giving messages, and I had a woman come up to me after the celebration and after I had finished, and she looked at me with tears forming in her eyes to say that I've been waiting for 25 years to hear that from my mother and to understand what she felt and what she went through, to feel that connection and the privilege of being that bridge or that reflection that allows people to have that level of spiritual intimacy, that connection that is so deep and so cherished and precious by our hearts opening, even our souls opening, to be able to experience ourselves, not only experience spirit, but to experience ourselves as spirit. It's a deepening, and it allows us to not only heal like this lady, a situation she had with her mother, but to also live a more full and deep life, a burden released, an opening created, allowing her to feel and be and share who she is more fully as a result of it.
It's a gift.
It is, and it fascinates me. I like to think of myself. I won't speak for you. Like being a child that's constantly fascinated with it. It's like every time that it happens, it's exciting to me to watch it happen, even though I'm right there in the middle of it, being a part of it.
Well, you know, Jim, there was a smart guy came from Scotland. I know him very well, very intelligent, very modest. And this smart guy said, knowledge is only as knowledgeable as the amount of knowledge that's available. And what we think to be knowledge today can be proven to be wrong tomorrow by more knowledge. So it's an ever evolving story of growing and learning.
Absolutely. And that evolution is certainly perpetuated, stimulated, and awakened by mediumship. For a moment, describe what it's like. You're giving messages or you're giving a reading and you are connecting with somebody. How does that happen? What does that feel like? What actually happens for you when you're making that connection and experiencing spirit and sharing that with somebody?
In the beginning, you're always a little bit nervous because you're nervous of your own frailties and your own limitations. But what I've learned over the years is once you make that commitment to the spiritual world, that the thing just flows. It just is a natural process. And okay, you've got to work on it, and you've got to work on the techniques and the styles and the presentations, but the process is a very natural one. And if we can only get that message across to people how natural it is, then there would be no fear, because we always as human beings fear the unknown. And if we can replace the unknown with knowledge, then fear is replaced by empowerment. And if we can empower people to the knowledge of life after death, then the fear of it all goes away. And that's got to be part of our objective.
And it is, and it certainly is wonderful to watch that happen for people. And so as we're speaking, you and I both know, but for our listeners, that means that anybody can connect to spirit if they allow themselves to open up and create that sensitivity and to work on that.
Oh, absolutely. There's everybody has an intuitive awareness, but it's like all things in life. To some people, it comes more naturally than others, and for others, they've got to really work on it like crazy. And so it's not a question that you cannot develop an understanding. It's always a question of how competent you become. And I often look at it as a process of learning by doing. But if you learn the right techniques and do it in the right way, then it stops you being dangerous. And I'm always aware that we've got to stop people being dangerous in other people's lives.
Certainly, absolutely. The ethics of knowing that you are a pure and clear channel and offering only what would be beneficial for anyone is a key in that sensitivity and these kinds of connections and in the sharing of it. As people are making their way through their day, what's a simple way that someone could begin to listen? What is something they could incorporate in their day to help maybe open them to being a little bit more sensitive or aware of what's going on around them? Something that one of our listeners might be able to incorporate.
I always say people look, but they don't see. They listen, but they don't hear. And if they took a little bit of time to pay attention to their environment, if they took a little bit of time to listen to what's going on in their environment, in their lives, then they'll become much more aware of the silence of the spiritual world touching your consciousness.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of describing it. I like to think of it as putting yourself in a place as if someone's trying to whisper from the corner of the room and you're trying to hear them. You're just, you're quieting yourself, you're opening yourself to being more sensitive to what's happening, and you're kind of opening to feel or sense that connection happening. Well,
I often think, Jim, how often do we as human beings have conversations with ourselves, sensible or otherwise, all the time? Question is, have we been having a conversation with ourselves, or has the spiritual world been stimulating the conversation in our mental thought processes? We assume it's our fantasy, and very often it could be a spiritual reality.
And something that just by paying attention, being aware and being open to it, you can begin to sense that difference and that sensitivity and be able to begin that connection.
And that's the trick. The trick is learning to know the difference between fantasy and stimulation. That's the trick. When you learn the trick of understanding the difference, then you open the pathway to spiritual communication.
Well, speaking of spiritual communication, you're coming to Sarasota Center of Light in late October, and you're going to be there for their 70th anniversary weekend after you've given some readings and done some workshops and been with the center